Hello chess friends and welcome to your of Chess channel and welcome to an absolutely shocking game from the computer chess rating list website, the amazing CCRL. We have here Minic against the most powerful chess engine in the world, Stockfish 17, in a beautiful Morphy Defense of the Spanish opening of the Ruy Lopez theory. And the shocking part about this game is that actually Stockfish here with the black pieces will secure a +6 evaluation, a +6 advantage in the position after only 80 moves, which is really unheard of. Usually in the Ruy Lopez theory, we have basically seen everything. We have seen, I don't know, the best lines, the best opportunities also in top grandmaster level. But we have also covered many great games in this AI world where the games lasted for more than 100 moves. It was always a positional struggle. It was always a positional battle in the Spanish opening. But in this game, Stockfish simply demolished here Minic's position after only 18 moves, which is really crazy. Put your seatbelts on. The game was prolonged till move 30, but I think Minic should have immediately resigned after move 18, which is really crazy. So put your seatbelts on. Really epic performance here by Stockfish 17. So let's dive now into the game with the white pieces. Minic opened with the move e4, e5 by the fish, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5. The Spanish game, the Ruy Lopez is on the board. Morphy Defense, bishop to a4, and now knight to f6. Pretty standard stuff. Casting b5, kicking with the bishop, and now bishop drops back. Stockfish plays now a calm d6. And now there are many choices. c3 is aligned, rook to e1, knight to g5. Many options you can play here, but one of the best lines that white can play here is actually the move a4, which Minic simply does. And what I like about this game, it's not like Minic is playing a dubious opening, a dubious sideline, a line that gives here maybe a black a much better position. It's, I think, the normal theory of the Ruy Lopez, and Stockfish will simply dismantle these ideas here by white. After move a4, Stockfish plays now the first theoretical novelty, the move bishop to d7. You will see this move bishop to d7 many times in the Lichess database, but no GM, no EM, no FIDE master has played now this line. At least I'm not seeing any games in the database after move bishop to d7, which is, I think, already a surprise for me. Why no one dared to play this line, I'm not sure. In my opinion, perfectly fine move because you're connecting, of course, the queen to the rook. And what's also good about this bishop is that this bishop is more flexible now on both of the sides. You could have played, of course, bishop to b7 or something in order to connect now the queen to the rook. If something clears on the a file, then the rook could be endangered. But I really like this bishop to d7, aiming with the bishop now on both sides. So what should you do now from white's perspective? Let's see now options. I think we should really practice also some theory here. Here there are many options again also for white, what white could have done. I've analyzed, for instance, this line immediately at home, which Minic did not play, but I was curious what would have happened when the game becomes a more simplified now on the queen side. After a takes b5, a takes b5, and the trades of rooks on the a file, then there is the problem of knight to g5. But this move, you see now also after a couple more moves by Minic, Minic will play with the same idea. This move can be defended with a beautiful h6 move. That's the beauty about this preparation by the fish, because you can still hang on to this position. The game becomes really complicated, but I would really love for you maybe to use this game as also maybe your home preparation in the Spanish opening from black's perspective. h6 is already very tricky because after knight to f7, it seems so that something went wrong here for black, but actually after rook to h7, there's not so much that can be done. This bishop will be attacked, and the bishop is, of course, the defender of the knight, and suddenly the knight could be trapped. I've analyzed a little bit deeper now this position because I was really curious. It seemed to me like really an interesting position. My Stockfish engine at home evaluates this position as slightly better only for black. So here after rook to h7, white should go then with f4, then black should simply take, and after rook to f4 now comes this idea we attack the piece that's protecting now the knight on f7, and then after e5, a very complicated position, then knight takes b3, e takes f6, and then you can maybe pick up this one. Then suddenly after a couple more moves, black is simply winning. Or you can maybe try here c takes b3, first of all taking out now the piece on b3, and then after knight to d5 hitting the rook, now the knight is attacked. Then after a retreatment of the rook, then you can play something like g6, and then after queen to f3, there's still this tension on this diagonal. You can then lock it with f5, bishop to f5. If something like knight to c3 happens, you have this intermediate attack against the king, and then you can trade it off, go for this piece, and again, black should be much better. So here, instead of this move knight to c3, then black probably will be challenged with knight takes d6 and c takes d6. The position is still complicated. Again, I'm pointing out slightly edge only for black. Very tough to play now this position also for black, but this is the line that Stockfish 17 now suddenly likes. So I'm telling you this because I think this whole idea with here with knight to g5 is something that bothers probably black in the continuation of the game, and then you want to know, of course, what's going on now on the board. So after move bishop to d7 here, Minic didn't go into this line, didn't trade off immediately the pawns on the a file, played now immediately knight to g5, hitting now the pawn on f7, and now Stockfish plays a beautiful d5. This is the way they go. Great stuff, great counterplay, locking out now simply the diagonal of the light square bishop. Let's see again options. For instance, if you try here e takes d5, then knight to d4, again attacking the bishop. That's very dangerous. And then after something like d3, knight takes b3, c takes b3, bishop to d6, you protect this one, and in one moment you will get your pawn back. And I think again a pretty solid position for black. Knight to e4, knight to d5 can be played, and black is continuing the game with maybe with the bishop pair, but maybe after knight to e4 and knight takes d6, white can get the bishop pair back. So I think an equal position at least here for black for sure. Or maybe here in this position, instead of e takes d5, bishop to d5 would not be so good, because after knight takes d5, e takes d5, then the knight is hanging. You can pick up now this one, but then after bishop to c6, the pawn on g2 is very weak. So now suddenly black would be on the attacking side, and black in this particular position is eventually much better. So here after move d5, that's why Minic tried c3. Didn't want to complicate things here on this long diagonal or against this pawn, because we have to mention the knight is loose here, as we saw in some tactical sequences. The knight could be lost on g5. So here Stockfish continues now finally with h6, kicks away now the knight. Now we have e takes d5. Stockfish grabs now the knight, opens up now the h file, which is now a very important tactical idea. Now there is huge pressure against this pawn on h2. Of course, Minic takes out now this knight on c6, but now Stockfish plays a beautiful bishop to g4, a beautiful counterattack. Doesn't want to play with this bishop on this side of the board, because on this side, okay, you are attacking something, but it's not so dangerous, because it's unlikely to happen that black will build a battery or something in order to somehow create some damage around the square g2. So I really loved this move bishop to g4, which forces now again a new reaction by white, and many things can go wrong already. For instance, if you try f3 here, seems tempting, but look at this. This would be a dirty opening trap here by the fish. This wasn't playing the game, but as I said, I've analyzed now really important sidelines here, I would say. After move f3 here, the winning idea for black is to play queen to d3. The idea about this move queen to d3 is that you're not allowing this d pawn to be moved in order to allow maybe the dark square bishop to get into the game. You sacrifice the piece on g4, but now you have a stunning bishop to c5, and the position is collapsing here. For instance, if you try something like, I don't know, to escape with the king, then rook takes h2 is very interesting. Then queen to h7, and then if you go here, then queen to h4, you have maybe this one, and queen to g4 is a beautiful checkmate sequence. For instance, here instead of this move king to h1, you could maybe try rook to f2 to cover yourself, but then knight to e4. Simple win here for white will simply put more pressure against this one, and game over here for black. So see, after bishop to g4, many of us, I think, would play the move f3. Seems logical, but it's simply not working. So that's why queen to e1 here, played by Minic. Stockfish continues now the attack with e4. Has now a beautiful space advantage here in the center of the board. But the issue is, of course, that that the king is still stuck in the center of the board, which means that maybe black could be challenged with moves like f3, or maybe here with moves like d3. Let's see options if f3 happens. This again wasn't playing the game, but I think many of us are curious about this move f3, about this potential attack. Then again, queen to d6. First of all, threatening the checkmate. Then after something like g3, locking out now the diagonal here on dark squares. Then you play again this idea queen to d3, allow here white to pick up the piece, and then with knight to g4, things are getting very, very dangerous. I've analyzed again now really much deeper this position. Again, there's not so much that can be done. You have to play something like bishop to f7. It seems almost like, for instance, black is losing the game, but it's actually not so, because after king to d8, again, there's not so much that can be done. If you try to play rook to f2 to protect maybe your h2 pawn, then bishop to c5, again, simply wins the game. So in order to stay in the game in this position, you would have to play something like rook to f5 in order to cover somehow the c5 score. But then knight takes h2, very, very nasty position. Look at this, you're trying something like this, then bishop to c5, deflecting now either the rook or the queen. Whatever happens, it's game over. For instance, you try to take it out with the queen, then queen is coming here, game over after knight to f3, or you're trying here maybe with rook to c5 instead of queen to c5, then knight to f3 is again winning the game. You have to now give up simply the queen, but again, after a couple more moves, the game is over here for white. So you see again, this idea with f3 is not working. Seems tempting, but Stockfish calculated everything in a good way and has now a beautiful attacking formation. So that's why after move e4 here by the fish, d4 by Minic, trying to do something here in the center of the board, but now bishop to d6. And now comes, I think, the critical moment of the game. So we're now in move 13, and I hope you can agree with me that black is attacking here. Black is simply on the attacking side. Black has now beautiful attacking harmony, has many pieces already activated. The issue is maybe something here on this side of the board, but it's a long run. Even if white does something, I'm not sure what white is going to do here. So now after bishop to d6, in order to stay in the game, there's only one defensive move, and Minic missed it already. Here the defensive move is f4 to somehow keep the position locked, and then after king to f8, which is again the only move here for black to continue the attacking flow. Then after knight to a3, because knight to d2 would not be so good because you're blocking out your own dark square bishop. Then after knight to a3, queen to e8, and now black is hoping to finally get his pawn back on c6. Even if something like 8x b5 happens, 8x b5, then a knight to b5 cannot happen because of the tensions on the a file. And I've analyzed again this position a little bit more. For instance, in a potential scenario which I think many humans would play with h3, actually again white is getting destroyed with some beautiful tactics like bishop to h3. So g takes h3, look at this, rook to h3, king to g2, queen is coming into the game. You're trying here to cover the square, then the queen is coming on f5, you're trying, I don't know, f takes g5, then the new check is coming, queen comes here, again game over here for white. Of course, white and black don't have to play the game like this, but I really wanted to show you that there's only probably one solution for white to somehow stay in the game after move f4. As I said, you're at least holding the position, at least you're trying to defend somehow the king side. But instead of this move f4, here Minic tried g3, and this is not good because now suddenly you have maybe solved the dark square problems, but now we have new light square problems here in the camp. Stockfish continues, of course, with bishop to f3 after knight to d2. Now a beautiful follow-up with g4, fixing everything here around the square f3. Even if you try now, I don't know, knight to f3, this is not working because after this line the queen is coming into the game through light squares. You're trying maybe something like this, but then the queen is coming anyway. You can maybe deliver one check, but it doesn't matter, it just prolongs you the game. No more good checks are possible here by white in the next couple of moves. You're getting probably checkmated here on g2. So here after move g4 that Stockfish plays, the only way maybe to keep the tension is to play bishop to d1, but again the issue is that probably something is going to come here through the h file, and the king is very, very endangered here. So here in this scenario, probably black would go with king to f8, would get out of this tactical mess on the e file and would keep here a good position, of course, on the king side. But after move g4, and now we remove 16, Minic makes now a huge mistake again with h4, and Stockfish punishes it immediately with queen to c8. Now we have bishop to d1, which comes a little bit too late. We have queen to f5. Now 8 takes b5. It doesn't matter, even if you try something like knight to b1, then b4 locking out now, and there's always maybe here the problem with g5, h takes g5, then you get checkmated, or maybe bishop to g5, then again queen to g5, again with the checkmate threat on h1. So many lines we can really now analyze, but I hope you agree that in every of this in these lines here, black is simply destroying here white's defense. But here after queen to f5, Minic makes another mistake with a takes b5, and now in move 18, Stockfish plays here rook takes h4, destroys now black's defense. Here already the Stockfish evaluates this position as 6.3 in black's favor, so I think we can agree this is completely winning. In the Ruy Lopez game, Stockfish has now completely winning position. Amazing stuff by the fish. So okay, here Minic continued with g takes h4, queen to h5. Now Minic prolonged the game by sacrificing the queen, knight to e4, rook to e1. This is just prolonged the game. Here queen to h4, great move here by the fish again, because there is now the checkmate threat here. There are several threats around the square h2. You cannot even pick up now the knight with the knight because you get checkmated immediately. So in order to prolong the game, you have to play here rook to e4, bishop to e4, knight to e4. But now, first of all, the check, new check, Stockfish grabs now the piece, and again, completely winning position. Again, Minic is trying to battle, but I think in human level, many of us would resign here with the white pieces, but Minic is fighting. Stockfish continues with g3. We have bishop to e2, g takes f2, and now Stockfish grab the piece, is now having of course much better material, the queen against the bishop, completely winning position. Queen to c2, a5, here bishop to f1, and now after king to e7, in this particular position, Minic finally resigns. So brutal game here by the fish, brutal attack. In the Ruy Lopez game, I'm not sure when I've ever seen something like this. We have seen many times Stockfish destroying other top engines in 25, 26 moves, but the pre-arranged openings many times is bad for one engine. In this game, we have seen, I think, the classical stuff, the amazing Ruy Lopez, the Morphy Defense, nothing wrong also with the idea here by white, how Minic played in the beginning. So Minic played really one of the standard lines, and Stockfish destroyed it only after 18, after only 18 moves. Really crazy performance by the strongest chess engine in the world. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Brutal fish here with the black pieces. If you want to see some other beautiful chess games like this, check out our commented chess games play by computer series. Here's the link of the playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.